What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to the Horrible Outdoorsman podcast with our host,
Chris Lopez, the Horrible Outdoorsman.
and I am Elvis with ERC Outdoors. We have opened up a shop, C&E Custom Outdoor Services, to fulfill all of your outdoor needs.
All right, so y'all stay tuned and enjoy the episode. All right. So, Haiden, appreciate you coming on the podcast. Why don't you introduce yourself to the listeners?
My name's Haiden Mensik. I own South Texas Hunting Outfitters.
All right. And you also have a Guides Life TV?
Yes, byproduct of the outfitting business is Guides Life. So that's something that I came up with. My guides probably wish I wouldn't have, but we're deep at this point and we're having a lot of fun with it.
Well, that's good. So how did you get into the business?
When I was in college, I didn't want to work at Pizza Hut. When I was in college, A&M Kingsville, 2009, 2010, I started working for a fella named Luther Young. He was a quail guide. He was one of the prestigious guides, or one of the most, well-known guides for the country. And when I met him, I didn't know that. I didn't even know people paid to go quail hunting. I grew up duck and goose hunting and deer hunting, and moved down to Kingsville, and we're in the middle of the King Ranch, so I didn't know how big that was. And Luther was looking for somebody to help take care of his dogs. And when I signed up, I didn't know that he had 90 bird dogs that needed to be fed and kennels needed to be cleaned every day. So that was how I got started, man. I got started working for him doing that and just started riding along with him on hunts. And then some friends of mine from the area I grew up, they started a little guide service, and I thought that was pretty cool. So I kind of started doing some stuff with them on some properties that I had access to. And Luther found out what I was doing, and he said, man, if you want to do that, that's what you want to do. He said, I can get you set up with some of that down here. So I started off getting a little bit of land around Kingsville and Ricardo, Bishop, Rivera. And that was in early 2010. And, it just started off as kind of something to do in college that I enjoyed. And, man, we could do a whole podcast on how my story, my testimony on that. But long story short, Luther passed away. I kept going, met another man. I was very close with him and Luther. And then, Charlie Harris was his name. He got me started in the whitetail side of the business and pretty much taught me everything I know about deer and, land and selling deer and the way the whole hunting business works. And he passed away as well. And that's when I kind of reached a turning point in my life where, I was just about to marry my wife. I had just graduated college. The oil field crashed. That was kind of my plan, was to go into oil field sales. So that wasn't an option. So it was like, okay, I'm just going to stick to doing what I know for a little bit until I find something. And that was 10 years ago. I'm still doing it. So it's pretty much, the way it happened in short form.
So you literally started from the bottom shoveling shit.
Yeah, I literally started I was making, and I don't have Luther was an interesting fella. Elvis might have met him. I don't remember, but a lot of my friends know him, and he was very interesting. He called me, when I messed up, he called me Barack. and because he wasn't an Obama fan. And when I did something good, it was never, hey, good job. It was like, well, yeah, what do you want a pat on the back for? You're supposed to do good,
Yep.
So I left home as quick as I could. I was ready to get out of the little bitty town that I grew up in and see, man, there was like 15, 16 girls in my high school class. I was ready to
Find new
experience
ones. Yeah.
college. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was ready to experience college, man. And Luther was kind of like my dad away from home. And where I'm going with that is I don't understand the way that man thinks, and I probably never will, but he paid me $25 for every 3 hours I worked. The weirdest thing in the world. So I literally I would work, go clean these kennels out for 3 hours and make $25, which I guess that's good. It's better than nothing, but golly, I had to fix water buckets. You wouldn't believe what a dog can tear up, in a wire kennel.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And so I did that, and then I graduated to doing dove hunts, which was good, but I didn't have a client base at all. I was advertising hunts on Craigslist, staying up all night and just putting them anywhere I could put them, telling everybody I know. But I mean, I was selling a lot of hunts. I was doing good for where I was at. And then, when he passed away, I had to kind of, I had to regroup. I didn't know how to talk to landowners at all. I got hung up on the first time I ever called a landowner, and just didn't give up, just kept trying and trying. And eventually, somebody gave me a chance, and I did the best I could and did a good job, and they liked it, and it just got bigger and bigger. But yeah, at one point, I think I was doing hog hunts. I think it was $100 or $125. And they didn't move during the day, so I did them at night, and I'd guide them. So I'd go and I'd sit with these people for 5-6 hours for $125 and clean them. And I was probably making $50 by the time it was said and done. But I thought it was the cool thing to do, I was, I was loving it. I still do love it. But, back then I liked it.
I mean, for a college kid, that's the dream, right?
It is. And now I still meet people, people I've grown up with, or just people that know me, and they all say, man, you got the dream job, and I'll tell my wife, man, they don't have a clue, but then I remember when I started, it was that dream job. It still is, but I felt what they, what they feel when they tell me that is what I felt when I first started. So it's not bad. It's really not.
So when you were in college, is that what you studied, like wildlife management or sales?
I started off studying wildlife management. That was just entirely too much schoolwork for me, Chris. I started doing that, and I switched my degree over. I started doing wildlife and range entrepreneurship. I wanted to be a game warden. Is what I wanted to do. I wanted to go down there and be a game warden. My high school ag teacher told me that was the best place to go. And then I realized how much game wardens work and how little they actually get to hunt. So then I thought, I might not want to be a game warden anymore.
Yep. That's what everybody thinks that until they realize you work during hunting season.
Yeah, and I'm not really, man, my cousin's a police officer, and him and I are real tight, and, I see what he has to deal with, and I'm not cut out for law enforcement. I'm just not. I'd be giving everybody a break, I
got a lot of real good friends that are cops, and I got a, family and Border Patrol. I got family, my grandfather was a sheriff's deputy, and I could absolutely say I'd be one of two law enforcement. I'd either be super lax or I'd be taking bribes. There's no in between.
Yeah. Yeah, I respect law enforcement. They're, hats off to them for what they do, but I'm just not cut out for that because, I'd be given a lot of slaps on the wrist and warnings. And,
Yeah, definitely.
So at that point, I switched my degree to agriculture science. My advisor in school said, I went to her. I was already guiding, working for Luther. I was having a ball doing it. I just wanted to get out of school right now, without dropping out, disappointing my parents. I said, hey, what can I do to get out right now? And she said, change your degree to this. So I did. And I I bet you don't know anybody that I bet you don't know anybody that graduated twice with the same degree and didn't have to pay for it the second time. I'm that person.
No,
it's a pretty good story, man.
That's very unique. I mean, that's kind of jealous. I'm not gonna lie.
So I feel like the statutes of limitations with my family have worn off by now because I'm grown and out on my own and got kids and all that stuff. So I won't get in trouble with my parents. So I'll tell the story real quick. So, cause it's kind of part of the whole deal. When I went to her, I don't remember her name. I said, I just need to get out of school. Where can you put me where I can get a degree? And she said, well, with your credits you have now, blah, 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 we'll put you in agriculture science. I said, okay. And she looked at it and she said, well, you could get out this year if you wanted to. And I said, really? She said, yeah, just take these core classes and you need to take two or one elective. I said, all right. And she said, you got two options. She said, you got farm management or some kind of art class. And I said, nah, what's the farm management one? Because I thought art would be a breeze. I said, what's the farm management one? She said, well, it's 2 days a week, and you basically go and you just learn how to run a farm. And I said, all right, what's the art one? She said, well, it's studying art. It's art history. I said, no, I'll do the farm one. So I go to the farm one first day. I won't say the professor's name. He's still around. He's not that old. And he says, look, he says, 2 rules in my class. He said, no cell phones. He said, and turn in your work. He said, you don't even have to show up to class. He said, but if you do show up, can't be on your phone. And he said, if you're not going to show up, turn in your work. I said, that's a good deal.
I got this.
I'm in. This is perfect. So what he catfished me because what he didn't tell me was, and what that advisor didn't tell me was, at the end of the semester, which it's a fall semester, so you know what that means, it's hunting season.
Oh yeah.
Right before Christmas break, there's a week-long trip that everybody in the class had to go on. And so, hey man, everything's going good. I'm clicking along. I'm making whatever grade to pass. We're good. And then end of the year comes on, and I show up to class that day, and he says, hey, we need to get ready for this trip. And I'm like, hold on, what trip? He said, the week-long trip where we go and visit all these farms. That's not going to work for Haiden.
Is there another option there?
Yeah, so now I'm fouled up at this point. So I go and talk to him. He says, that's fine. You can't go. You just got to write a real long research paper. All right, no problem. Typical me. I think I waited till 2 days before it was due. Got it done. I said, man, this is good enough. It's farm management. How critical can this paper be? Turned it in. Came time to graduate and met the advisor again. She said, yep, you're good to go. Walk stage, diploma, graduation party, yada, yada, yada. Hey, I'm out rocking and rolling, selling hunts. One day I get a letter in the mail. I forgot how it read, but basically it said, hey, we're sorry, but you didn't graduate. Do what? And that's all it said. Not like or it was like, hey, you didn't graduate. You need to go see your advisor, is what it said. So come on, man. So I go up there to see this advisor, and she's all calm, right? Well, let me take a look. She said, oh, yeah, you see it here. You failed farm management. Went in there, and the professor failed my research project, or my paper I wrote, because apparently I didn't have it long enough or whatever. So it ended up working out. Kind of funny how God works. I said, all right, well, what do we do? I got to get out. I got to get this degree. She said, well, the only thing I have open is a meat science class. And I said, what do you do in that? That sounds interesting. She said, well, you butcher meat. So I started this class, and okay, I guess I'm doing that. So I started doing that, and it was pretty cool because we butchered nilgai from the King and the Kenny Ranch. Like, man, every Wednesday they would show up with trailer loads of nilgai, and we would butcher them. But it actually worked out, Chris, because a lot of my connections that I have today, I met through that class, and I would have never met them if I wouldn't have failed farm management.
Really? That's crazy.
That's pretty nuts. Yeah, so, no, I went off on a tangent there, but
no. So you've had
part of the whole story.
You've had your hands on a nail guy, so now I've got to ask this question: would you bow hunt one?
I want to. I was supposed to go this year, but I didn't go because we had so many ducks at my duck lease. I decided to go duck hunting instead, but I'm gonna kill one with my bow.
So I got drawn year before last at Laguna, and I didn't make it. I went instead to another hunt where you get to hunt mule deer in Texas on public land. I'll tell you about that when we cut off the recording. It's a secret we try to keep kind of together. But my buddies got drawn this year, and they went, and one of them got a shot off, but he gut shot it. So I'm hoping to get drawn this year. I'm really, really hoping. That's one of my bucket list bow animals.
They're tough, man. You gotta have a heavy arrow and a good broadhead. We used to have a ranch where we sold hunts that bordered the Atascosa Wildlife Refuge, and man, it was a nilgai hunting paradise.
So with your outfitting company, what all kind of hunts do you offer? I noticed on the website it's mostly like big families or corporate, correct?
Corporate hunts are our niche. We do whitetail, exotics, dove, and turkey. And 90% of our customers are corporate. That's something, a few years ago, I decided that I wanted to be different than everybody else. I wanted to find the nicest ranches. We've got a strong, good team of guides, and that's more than half the battle right there is having good people on your side. And we already had that. I said, you know what? Now I want to go after the top end. I want to go after the guys that want to entertain their, clients that spend $1 million. Still take anybody. Anybody can hunt with us. We welcome everybody, love hunting with everybody. This past weekend, we had a family bring a 4-month, the husband and wife and their 4-month-old baby, So we do it all. But corporate is kind of where we market towards the most and what we do the most.
So you've talked about ducks a lot, but you didn't mention duck as an outfitter.
I tell my wife, deer pay the bills, ducks give me thrills. So
you're a duck hunter at heart.
Yeah, I am. That's my passion, man. I've got a place in Mississippi, a 30,000 acre club up there that we hunt, and flooded corn, flooded beans, millet, timber, catfish ponds. I mean, you name it. It's just a paradise. We do take some some package hunters up there, but it's real low key. It's not a huge commercialized operation or anything like that. And then I spend a lot of time. I've got a lease in Garwood and bunch of different places around where I live. I can hunt, and me and one of my really good friends, his name's Clayton Carter. We have another show. It's called Foul Minds. We just travel all over and go duck hunting and filming. And it's pretty cool. He's got an airboat. It's kind of a rat rod airboat. He built out of bought a used airboat. They welded the frame on it. Junkyard LS motor with twin turbos. I mean, it's pretty cool. And we take that thing all over the place hunting. He's going to Argentina in August. Him and our cameraman, and pretty much after Thanksgiving, I'll put up my hunting clothes and my deer hunting stuff and grab my waders, and I'm gone, man. You won't see me again till February.
So he's going to Argentina, I'm assuming, for dove?
For ducks.
Oh, for ducks. Okay.
Yeah. I think this is his like fourth or fifth time to go. And man, it's pretty fun. He said it's 10 times better than any best day you could ever have here, and then you don't have to quit shooting.
Yeah, I've heard people that went dove hunting up there, and they said there's people handing you loaded shotguns because you don't have time. You're just letting it loose.
Right.
So, Elvis and I are big kayakers. Have you ever duck hunted out of a kayak?
In college, I have. Yep.
That's got to be one of my favorite ways to duck hunt, just because it's so simple. I mean, wrong. I love loading up and 5-6 guys in a blind bullshit and then dogs and everything. But sometimes I'll load up and I have 6 decoys and I lay out there and the birds. I'm a big dude. I'm 6'4". I'm 350. So I have an equally large kayak. So I look like a log. They're coming to land on me, So that's just one of my favorite way to hunt duck. But it's been so, right here in the Gulf Coast where we're at, it's so hard sometimes to get out there in public land.
It's just a lot of pressure, man. We started, that's why we got airboats. And I was a fishing guide in Corpus when I lived down there for a little while, and I had an airboat. I ran, redfish and drum trips, and pretty much, now I won't go in a kayak. I'm going in an airboat, or I'm going to drive up to the blind in my Polaris.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah, just because I've done that so many times and not killed anything, because I'll have 10 other guys set up within 200 yards from me. It's just the pressure is crazy down there. So I like to get away from the crowds. I like to go places where people wouldn't even think there's a duck, and I like to scout. I enjoy that. For me, that's half of the excitement I get, is finding them and then outsmarting them and just roping them the next day,
So do you think that translates into helping you being a better guide, already loving that scouting and all that?
Yep, definitely. Definitely. I've had a lot of guides. I don't like to say work for me. I like to say work with me, because we all work together. But I've had guides that I could tell, they're just there to get it done and take the check and go home. And then, I've had some that, man, they're ate up with it. They love it. They'll get out there and they'll beat the brush and they'll walk around and climb the hills and do what guides do, And I think that's what it takes to be a good guide and be different in the hunting industry, just going that extra distance and putting in that extra effort. And waterfowl hunters, whether you want to do it or not, if you're going to be successful, you have to do it, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Who wants to get up at 3 a.m. and paddle across the bay in a kayak, right?
I've told more people than not that you're dumb to go duck hunting the first time, but there's something that gets you, and you just want to be dumb again.
Yeah, it's special, man. It really is. I mean, it's an art, you know. I told somebody this the other day. People call it a sport, right? It is a sport, but it's not like if I go and I watch, for example, my little cousin, he's really good at baseball. If I go to one of his baseball games and watch him, that's great. But he's in high school. I'm, you know, at this point, I feel like I'm an old man. I'm really not, but I can't go out there and get on the field and play with him, right?
Oh, yeah.
But I can take him duck hunting and we can all do that together.
So,
you know,
let's segue into this. As a guide, say they're looking to book a guided hunt with you or whoever. What would be some good questions that they need to ask that outfitter or ask the guide or whoever's selling the hunt, you know, third party, whatever? What's some things they need to ask them to make sure that, one, this is like a legit thing, because, you know, there's always scammers on Facebook, and two, to get themselves prepared for that?
You know, when I go on hunts, the only I don't really do it anymore, but I used to book a lot of waterfowl hunts. And the things I would ask is, you know, what's your success rate? How do you hunt? How physical is the hunt? When do you hunt? You know, what's the food like? What's the lodging like? You know, just general stuff like that. I'm big on pictures, and I'll be honest, you know, what's going to determine me booking a hunt or me not booking a hunt. And this probably isn't accurate, because I actually know a lot of outfitters that never post pictures, and they don't even have a website, and they're amazing, you know. But I look at pictures. I look at a lot of pictures. If somebody's got high quality pictures and they're posting a lot of pictures and doing, you know, keeping up with that, I can tell that they're taking the extra time, to put into making sure, hey, I get quality content, and B, they are killing stuff, you know?
Okay. Those are really thoughtful. Now I got to think of all the things I need to ask this guide I'm going with in September. So flip side of that, everybody pretty much knows that tipping is common to the guide. But what about, like, if you do a drop camp? Like I'm doing a spike, or not a drop camp, I'm doing a camp in September for a bear hunt, but the guide, you know, has the camp, he has the shelter, he's got a cook on site. Who else needs to be tipped? Do I need to tip the cook? Do I need to tip whatever handlers there are? You know, what are some courtesy things that people may not realize going into a guided hunt like that? And what are things they need to bring, and what are things they don't necessarily need to bring?
Man, I definitely take care of that cook. He's a vital part of that whole deal there.
Oh, I'm not forgetting the cook. Like I said, I'm a large man.
Yeah, exactly. That's if I go on a hunt, the food's a big deal for me too. That's part of the whole experience, you know. In my opinion, that's something we try to provide as a good food. You know, we have chefs that work for us, and that we want the culinary experience to be something they remember. So, yeah, that's a hard question to answer. The reason it's hard is not everybody is in the same financial situation, right?
Yeah.
You and I may be in a different financial situation than the guy that flies in on his Learjet. So his idea of a good tip is probably different than my idea of a good tip, right? And I think the industry standard is 10 to 20% of the total hunt cost. Now, me personally, when I go on a hunt, I tip as much as I can, because I'm going to want to come back. And when I come back, this is just the way I think. I tip as much as I can, because when I come back, I want them to remember me they're not going to remember my name unless we just had an absolute ball together. They see so many different hunters. We do, but I'm talking about these big waterfowl operations that run 1,000 hunters a year. Um, I want them to remember me, that I tipped well, I took care of them, I was easy to deal with. Did everything that that I was supposed to do to take care of my part. And I want them to take care of me again when I come back. So I guess the best answer for that is whatever whatever you can afford that you think is good and fair to the service that was given to you. I've had guys come and hunt with us with our outfitting business, and they tipped thousands of dollars. And then I had a guy last year that handed one of my guides $50, you know, after he killed a 200-inch deer and worked hard for 3 days, and you know that, hey, that's probably all he could afford, so no big deal. But uh, I will tell you something that from a hunter or a guide standpoint, I think that they're going to work just as hard no matter how much you tip them. But one thing you got to remember is guides make the majority of their money off of tips. They really do. That's how they supplement the guide fee, and they really appreciate it when you tip them good.
So what makes a good hunter in camp for y'all? For y'all, what makes a good hunter in camp? Someone, they've obviously tipped well at this point. What else could make them memorable to when they come back, they're like, yeah, that's a good guy?
Just somebody that's, respectful. And I tell everybody this. I try to prepare my hunters as much as I can before they come on a hunt with us. Whenever I send out a booking email, the last thing I'll put in the booking email is, all you have to do is show up with a smile and a good attitude. We'll take care of the rest.
So at this point, you can provide guns and everything for people.
Yes, we have a custom rifle sponsor, Exile Firearms, and we've got 5 of their rifles on whitetail and exotic hunts that, if you want to shoot one of our rifles, you have an opportunity to shoot a custom built rifle, on a hunt with us. And that's kind of our deal. We want the hunters to show up. We want them to be able to relax, eat good food, have drinks, shoot big animals, sleep in a comfortable, clean, nice place, enjoy their time with their customers, family, or friends, and not have to worry about all that extra little stuff. And we'll clean the animal, have it ready for them to take with them when they leave. The meat will be on ice in their cooler, ready to go. We've got a taxidermist we've worked with for years. He'll come and pick the mounts up from the ranch. We've got a meat processor that we've worked with for years. He'll come pick the meat up from the ranch. It just, I don't know how we can simplify it anymore, and if we've got guys flying in on commercial, we'll go pick them up. If we've got hunters flying in private, we'll be waiting on them when they get there.
It sounds like y'all got it absolutely top notch there. Like, that sounds like a dream hunt, to be honest with you. Show up, shoot something, go back home when the meat's getting sent.
That's it, man. If that's how you want to do it, that's how we'll do it. That's kind of what I've been trying to do. I've been trying to separate my company from everybody else, because everybody's an outfitter now. I mean, look on those Facebook groups, everybody's selling hunts.
Oh yeah.
You'll see guys that have been paying to go on hunts for years, and then they make friends with the landowner. The next thing you know, now they're an outfitter. I mean, there's no regulating behind it. Anybody can do it. So with that, now you've got that aspect to the whole uh, scenario that changes things, in my opinion, because these people that book these hunts, they don't know, they don't know any better. They see big deer, they see, um, nice, whatever the guy's advertising, they're going. So I wanted to do something that separates us from everybody else. Plus, we appreciate our customers. We want to make sure that we can take care of them best we can. You know.
So that's a good segue into this. So in the off season, but with deer specifically, what are y'all doing to ensure you have a healthy herd with good numbers? Do you have feeding programs? Are you checking them for diseases? Are you medicating them? What all are you doing?
Yes, sir. Yeah. So every ranch we hunt has a feed program. Cottonseed and protein fed year round. Deer uh, very well taken care of. Those deer eat better than I do. You do probably. um, we stay on top of that. The man that mentored me, one thing he always said, he raised deer, and he told me this. I'll never forget it, and it applies to everybody that deer hunts. That is a quote unquote manager. There's a difference between a manager and a hunter. If he said, if you take care of your deer, they'll take care of you. And in the hunting business, that goes a long way. That means a lot.
So cottonseed and protein, can you do one without the other, or are they kind of like they need to be a combined thing going out there?
No, you can do one without the other. I mean, some of the ranches we hunt do one or the other. Some of them do both. Some of them do, cottonseed only this time of year, protein all the time. I mean, every landowner is different. Um, everybody thinks and manages differently. There's no right or wrong to it, in my opinion. Um, the main thing is, in my opinion, is being consistent in whatever you do. Whatever you do, just stay consistent.
So you didn't mention corn. Do you think there's benefits for cottonseed versus corn?
Um, Personally, my opinion, I don't see any benefit in corn other than, to a deer, it's just candy. Um, this time of year, we don't feed a lot of corn because it's high in carbohydrates. It's hot outside. They just don't. It's not going to do anything for them. Other than attract them. Now, if I had a low fence deer lease and I wanted to keep the deer on my side of the fence, well, you bet I'd be feeding a lot of corn. Um, amongst other things. But as far as on the ranches we commercially hunt, corn is just something to give them some candy. A little when they hear the feeder go off, hey, let's get up, go eat, because it really just doesn't do anything else for them.
So awesome. This is going to be an awesome segue. So Joe Everyman, he's got a spot or two on a lease. I'll use myself for an example. We just got on some timber company land. Me and my three buddies, we're good friends. We work together, so we technically have 3 spots. What should we do, or what can we do to make sure that not only are we having deer coming to our area, but to ensure the health and the growth of the population?
Well, that's a good question. I get that question a lot, and I was perfect, example to that, Chris. I was running a low fence lease in Webb County for the last 5 years. With family and everything I got going on, I can't do it anymore. One of the other guys on the lease took it over, and I did the whole, protein and cottonseed, just gun ho, man. We're growing 200-inch deer, and now I'm on a 300-acre lease in the hill country with 3 other guys. So I'm right there where you're at. You know what I mean? And what I'm doing, and it doesn't mean that it's the right way or, the best way, but all I'm doing is putting as many corn feeders on that 300 acres as it'll hold, and not firing a gunshot or not, shooting a rifle unless it's at a big buck. Keeping it quiet, which is pressure, making sure there's plenty of food and water, and, keep it in. For us, we're just, basically, we're not spending a whole lot of money. We're feeding some cottonseed. I don't see a big reason in feeding protein because, I'm not holding a whole lot of deer on that 300 acres. They're bouncing around, especially the bucks. My neighbors aren't feeding any. So cottonseed is cheap. It's easy to put out. And corn's, it was cheap. I say that, but relatively, it's not very expensive in the whole grand scheme of things. And so just keeping it quiet and feed as much as you can, keep it consistent, try not to let your feeders run out, and control the hogs and predators, and just have fun, don't overthink it.
So are you running cottonseed by the bale, or are you buying it by the bag?
I'm buying it by I'm buying 2,000 pounds at a time. I say we don't feed protein. We are feeding some protein. We feed protein in the winter. But like this time of year, we're just feeding cottonseed.
And you just drop the bale on the ground, basically?
No, we put it in baskets. We just scoop it in baskets.
So what's your feeling on all the commercial product, Acorn Rage, Deer Cane, stuff like that, the attractants, B&B or whatever it is?
There's a lot of good ones out there. We have one called Guides Blend, 2 years old. We don't push it real hard, mainly just use it for our clients, because it works better than corn. They're all, there's a lot of good ones out there. There's I will say this, they're good for different applications. Some of those are going to work better in South Texas than they will in the hill country. Some of them are going to work better in the piney woods than they are in, West Texas. I think that it's not a bad thing to buy those. I think that they work. I just think there's a lot of different ones out there, and, try them and pick the one you think's best and have fun with it. Don't overthink it. It's easy to overthink this stuff.
So I'm gonna pick one more thing in your brain. What about food plots? Because I know I'm a timber company. We're hunting timber company, a lot of pine, and they got that throw and go, no-till stuff. Yep. I threw that out just to see what happens.
Man, I love food plots. Where I've spent most of my life deer hunting in South Texas, you couldn't grow a food plot because it just doesn't rain enough.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Growing up hunting around Colorado County, around Columbus and Weimar and all that, we planted oats and we planted wheat and ryegrass. And man, if you planted 10 acres of oats or wheat, you'd have 40, 50 deer out there every evening. It's awesome. If you can do that, then go for it. And it's easy to do. You can do a lot of that stuff with a four-wheeler and a wooden pallet, just throwing out the seed and dragging it. So if you have the resources to do that, I'm all for it. And it's not very expensive either.
Now, did you hunt over it, or was it something strictly so that the deer had something to eat during like the hot season?
Well, we only planted it in the fall. We'd plant it during deer season, and we hunted over them. We plant a lot of stuff for doves. We plant a lot of sunflowers. I'm actually going down in a couple days to George West, the main place we do our lodge dove hunts, and we're planting a bunch of sunflowers out there. And we'll have sunflowers and sesame scattered out all over around 4 different counties. But that's a little different than planting, a broadleaf for whitetail and in the heat of the summer.
Yeah.
It's a little easier to grow.
Yeah, we have a buddy, Kerry, He's he's got a farm up. I can't remember where, but he just went and planted a couple 100 pounds of sunflower seed himself. He sent us a message. Y'all gonna be ready for dove season? I said, well, my shotgun just got oiled, so let's do it.
Yeah, there you go. I'm ready because dove season means teal season.
That's right. And those little rockets are fun to shoot at too.
Yeah, man, they're fun. I'm working on some stuff, right? Some impoundments in Garwood right now, getting ready to get them dished and get the pumps ready. And yeah,
So would you say you're busier during the off season preparing for the hunting season than you are actually during the hunting season?
I'm just busy all the time, man. There's always something, this isn't really it really isn't a job. It's a lifestyle, it's a just something that you're dedicated to. Either you're in or you're out, not halfway. This time of year we're planting sunflowers for doves. We're moving deer blinds around. We're adding new feeders to spots. We've always got stuff to do around the camps. Going out, I take a lot of photos this time of year. I get a lot of content. July, August will be a really busy time when deer start, our big bucks start getting, close to growing out. We'll go spend a bunch of time out there sweating and taking pictures of them. And I also work for Las Cazadoras. I'm a salesman for them for their feed and deer blind. So I'm visiting ranches and, talking about deer feed and stuff like that. And there's just always something going on.
And they do kind of that pre-mixed deer feed.
Yes, we have 3 blends of deer feed. We have a 18.6, we've got a 18%, and then we've got a blend that's for exotics.
So what does the 18.6 mean?
18% protein, 6% fat.
All right. So it sounds like you're pretty much all about some sort of hunting year round.
That's right. Yes, sir.
So is it as glamorous as everybody thinks, or is it a lot more hard work than most people would think?
Man, it's a job just like anything else. It's not always sunshine and rainbows, and there's a lot of, there's problems. You're dealing with the public, and it's just like anything else. The bigger you get, the more moving parts you get, the more things that can happen. But we just try to control the controllables and do our best. And like I said, I'm blessed to have such a strong group of guides. I've got a really good team of guides and chefs, and they take care of business. I don't have to babysit them. We all work together. We're all good friends. We all help each other. And, that makes things 10 times easier. So, but yeah, when I retire, I'm going to write a book, and I'm going to put some stories in there about things that, crazy stories with clients and stuff like that in there.
Well, if you ever feel the need to vent,
entertaining.
If you ever feel the need to vent about crazy clients, you just give us a call and we'll put you on the podcast under an anonymous voice. We'll get a voice changer and you can just, you can have at them.
Oh man, I get my guides on there too. One of my, one of the guys that's been helping with me for a long time. His name's Jake Ringout. He's a fishing guide in Galveston, and he's probably the best around there. He catches huge trout daily and limits daily. And
what's his name? Jake what?
Ringout is his name. His guide service is Swamp Donkey Charters.
I feel like I've heard of them. Yeah,
I'm sure. Yeah, man. He's got 4 or 5 captains that help him, and man, they kill him. But I'd like to get him on there at that point because he's got some crazy stories too from the fishing side of things.
Well, we'll definitely have to get together and do that. I don't want to take up too much more of your time. So where can people get a hold of you and where can they watch the TV shows?
Guides Life is on My Outdoor TV. It's It's on Outdoor TV, and we're fixing to go on to Carbon TV. If you want to get a hold of us, our website is southtexashuntingoutfitters.com, and my email is on there. Shoot us an email. We're also on Facebook, and we like, as you can see, we like to talk about hunting. So be happy to talk to anybody about anything they need help with, or trips.
All right. Well, we appreciate you coming on. Well, sorry Elvis couldn't make it. He's baseball season for the kids, and Dad's got to be there.
Oh yeah, that's important. I understand that for sure.
All right, buddy. Well, I hope we talk to you soon.
Thanks, Chris. Enjoyed it.